see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They're like much more than I ever knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yeah.
Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Unforgettable, though near or far.
Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me. Never before has someone been more
unforgettable in every way,
and forevermore.
and forevermore.
That's how you'll stay.
That's how you'll stay.
That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so
unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Someone been more unforgettable in every way, and forevermore.
forevermore.
That's how you'll stay.
That's how you'll stay.
That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
paper sticks to the wall.
Like the seashore clings to the sea.
Like you'll never get rid of your shadow. Frank, you'll never get rid of me.
Let all the others fight and fuss.
Whatever happens, we've got us. We're closer than pages that stick in a book. We're closer than ripples that play in a brook. Wherever you find him, you'll find me, just look. Closer than a miser or the bloodhound's Deliza me.
We're closer than smog when it clings to L.A. We're closer to Bobby is to JFK. Not a soul can bust this team in two. We stick together like glue. And when it's a sleeping time,
that's when we rise.
We start to swing,
swing to the sky.
Our clocks don't chime.
Want a surprise? They ring. A ding ding, a happy new year. And now to repeat what I said at the start, they'll need a large crowbar to break us apart. We're alone but far from blue.
Before we get finished, we'll make the town roar. We'll make all the late spots and then a few more. We'll wind up at Jilly's right after Toots Shore. Life is gonna be a wee wow wee for my shadow and me.
Say, Frank.
What is it, Sam?
Would you do me a favor?
What do you want now?
Would you mind just taking it one more time?
From the top?
No, from the ending.
Wonderful. And while we are swinging, to mention a few, we'll drop in at Danny's, the little club too. But wind up at Jilly's, whatever we do, life is gonna be a wee wow wee for my shadow and me.
Frank.
Oh, forget it, Sam.
All right.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. More, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up
I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that. And may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my Yes, it was my way.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Our service will begin in just a minute. And before we start with some readings and some chanting of psalms and prayers, we're going to ask that Jerry's immediate family gather in the front row so that we can say the blessing of Kriya. And for everyone else, we're honored by your presence here today, and we ask that you find a place to settle in. We're going to start our service in just a minute. symbolize that to the outside world for the tearing of the freedom of it. So if you can just repeat after me this blessing. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Dayan, Ha'emet. Blessed is Adonai, the source of true judgment. And if you can tear from the kingdom of your wicked, rejoice with me. Yeah, it is a little tricky here. And it's a tradition to wear this for the week of Shiva. Okay? Sure. Yeah. That does count. That does. Welcome, everyone. We're going to begin with a short poem on the theme of loss and memory, written by Rabbi Alvin Fine. Birth is a beginning and death is a destination. Life itself is a journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness and perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, and from strength to weakness, and so often back again, from health to sickness, and we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, grief, perhaps to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until never looking backwards, neither or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high point along the way, but in having made the journey, step by step, the sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, death is a destination, life itself is the journey. And so we say shalom. Today we gather to remember the life of a remarkable individual, a caring husband, a devoted father, a loving brother, a loving grandpa and great-grandfather, and a loyal friend. Today we honor the life and the legacy of Jerome Stern. My name is Cantor J. O'Brien. It is truly an honor to be here with Jerry's friends and his family to share in the blessings of his memory, and to also offer in this moment of pain and loss some of the Jewish traditions that can help bring comfort to us in this time of remembering. The Jewish funeral service is fairly simple. It consists of a few readings, the chanting of a few psalms. It concludes with the chanting of a Hebrew memorial prayer called El Malei Rachamim. And so we begin our gathering this morning as we heard this poem. It reminds us that life is a journey, that in death the soul returns to its source. In Jewish tradition, life is often understood as a circle. The soul emerges from the spirit of all things, and when the body's work is complete, it returns once more to that sacred source. And so we offer a musical blessing, a blessing called Blessing of Return, with music composed by Jerry's son, Russell. Ever-living God, source of life and blessing to all, the The journey of a lifetime, here to there we go, takes us from the places and faces we know, longing for the promise and refuge of home, chasing the horizon and glow of each tomorrow. From the bright sunshine to the pouring rain, from the dark midnight to the break of day, every soul will find a way to finally learn. The circle ends where it begins, a blessing. Hashivenu, a blessing of return. The further that we wander down the winding road, shadows turning colder the older we grow, searching for the wisdom forgotten long ago, praying for the courage of never-ending hope. From the bright sunshine to the pouring rain, from the dark midnight to the break of day, every soul will find a way to finally learn. The circle ends where it begins, a blessing, Hashivenu, a blessing of return. The circle ends where it begins, a blessing, Hashivenu, a blessing of return. May it be your will, Lord our God, and the God of our ancestors. Lead us toward peace, guide our footsteps toward peace. Let us reach our desired destination for life, gladness, and peace. From the bright sunshine to the pouring rain, from the dark midnight to the break of day, every soul will find a way to finally learn. The circle ends where it begins, a blessing, Hashivenu, Hashivenu. A blessing of return, a blessing of return, a blessing of return. It's now an honor to call forward my colleague, Rabbi Ike Serrata, who will introduce and lead us in the recitation of the 23rd Psalm.
Psalm 23 is probably the most famous poem in the world. It's been translated into every language, spoken by many faiths. It teaches us a couple of really important things. One is that no matter who we are, at some time in our life, we will walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It's the price we pay for loving somebody, that one day we will have to mourn for them. But the key word in that phrase is through the valley. You can't skip it or go around it, but you can get through it, step by step, day by day, from the darkness back into the light. And at the end of the poem, it reminds us that God has made a home for us, a place for our soul, a place of eternal life, and that God is with us as we walk through the valley of darkness. So I invite you to join me in saying these ancient holy words, the 23rd Psalm. They were in the folder that you got as you arrived. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. As I said, Psalm 23 has been translated into every language, but it's most beautiful in its original in the Hebrew.
Adonai roi lo echsar binode sheyarbitzeni alemei menuchot Yenaleini Nafshi Yeshovev Yoncheini b'magelei tzedek Yoncheini b'magelei tzedek leman shemo Gam ki yeilech megetz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha Taroch lefanai Shulchan neged sarerai Dishanta Hashem en roshi kosi revayai Achtom v'chesed yenefuni כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי מבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. And now we turn to words spoken from the heart. It's an honor to call up members of Jerry's family who will be sharing some thoughts and stories and memories. We'll begin with Glenn Jonathan.
There's so much I'd like to say about my father, but even the best words that I could think of would not do justice or even come close to describe what a great human being he was. Jerome H. was a lot of things: a beloved husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, son. He was a talented accordionist, trumpet player, as a U.S. Army sergeant, successful businessman. He was a CPA, an MBA, a lawyer, an insurance tycoon, a trustworthy dear friend to many, a generous supporter of Israel, a loyal Bears, Bulls, and White Sox fan, and a seasoned international traveler, and a lover of music, theater, and the arts. Most importantly, Jerry was a family man of great integrity and was loved and liked by almost everyone he knew and everyone who knew him. Dad was a great father, and despite a busy career and work life, was always able to be present with us at home, spend the quality time, and be an integral part of our lives. In our home, you could feel the love that he had for our mother, Shirlee. May she be blessed and rest in peace. By the way they treated each other and showed mutual love and respect for each other. From my perspective, Dad was a perfect role model, the gold standard of a father and a husband. I admired him throughout my life, and to this day I hope to live up to all the good things that I saw in him. Dad provided us with countless wonderful memories of celebrations, family get-togethers, the holidays, the family vacations, trips to Israel, cruises, Disney World, Arizona. He was there to take care of us when we got sick, console us when we were sad, and give us useful advice and support whenever we needed it. He was always there for us. He provided us with amazing access to education, summer camp, music, cultural experiences in our childhood. But Dad, as a young man, was an aspiring musician. He was a pianist, accordionist, and trumpet player. He started his musical career with my Aunt Joyce during World War II, entertaining troops at war bond rallies. They were a brother and sister act and patriotically did their duty as kids, entertaining literally hundreds of times together during the war. Dad later used his musical talent and skills to work his way through school as a union musician and a band leader. He played trumpet for decades in the Skokie Valley Symphony Orchestra with my mother. He passed on this gift of music and talent and appreciation to all of us, the children. My talented brother Russell, who was playing this morning, is a living testament and direct product of his love and talent for music. Dad's musical influence also rubbed off on me and stayed with me throughout my life. and exposed me to many different genres of music, classical, jazz, Broadway. He took us to many concerts, plays, and shows. And that left me with a love and great appreciation for music. That has always been a special connection between him and I. To this day, music is a lifetime companion for me that personally lifts me up, gives me happiness and inspiration, and I owe it all to him. Thank you, Dad, for the love and the gift of music. Dad had a great sense of humor. He was a great joker and storyteller. He passed on that appreciation for comedy to all of us, the children and the grandchildren. And he loved stand-up routines, funny movies, Charlie Chaplin, the Marx Brothers, Mel Brooks, Jackie Mason, Seinfeld, many, many more. When Dad found something very funny, he would erupt into a 2 to 3 minute cycle of deep laughter. His whole body would shake. That's right, and he would turn red and roar uncontrollably. I remember when I was 11 and we were sitting in a quiet movie theater. It was full, watching Blazing Saddles when it first came out, and he broke into that eruption of roaring laughter in a quiet movie theater. It was a little embarrassing as a kid, but it was contagious and hilarious. And those who knows my dad's laugh would probably agree. Dad, thank you for teaching me how to laugh, appreciate comedy and humor, and sometimes not taking life so seriously. Dad had an amazing and inspiring career. He got his accounting degree and CPA, later his MBA and law degree. He eventually rose to great success in a local Chicago insurance company that he helped build up and eventually owned. His success in business was an inspiration for me to get a business education and eventually work in international business. When I graduated with my MBA, my dad helped me network and get my career on track and obtain my first job 35 years ago. Dad, thank you for helping your son get his career and work life on track. Although he didn't always agree with my life decisions, Dad was always supportive to me in what I chose to do in my life. When I was 15 and I was studying trumpet and piano, I told him that I wanted to learn bass guitar and play rock and roll. And even though he wasn't from that generation, he helped me do it. And he even allowed our band to play in our house, where we literally rocked the house in the basement. In my early 20s, I had the chance to study in Brazil. Mom and Dad initially didn't want to see me leave the country, but they were supportive and even took me down, and we traveled to Argentina and Brazil for 2.5 weeks. And I ended up living in South America for 6 years. When I came back with my wonderful wife, Lourdes, I brought her back with me from an entirely different culture, language, and upbringing. Dad and Mom were very welcoming and welcomed her to the family. My wife, Lourdes, loved him very much and remembers the time that after Jonathan was born, I had to be back in Brazil working. We had been up here for 6 weeks. Jonathan was born, and to make sure Lourdes made it back to Brazil, okay, my mom and dad took her and baby Jonathan in an airplane all the way down to Miami to make sure she made her flight, and escorted her to Miami, and she made her flight because I didn't want her to travel alone and make that connection. When we moved back from Brazil a few years later, and Lourdes was pregnant with Gabby, they put us up in their home and helped us eventually move to Arizona, where Mom and Dad had been living as snowbirds. And they generously let us stay at their home. And we were able to get settled in our new lives in the United States, thanks to them. In 8 years, we spent a total of 8 years together in sunny Arizona, enjoying the winter months while they were there. And they were an integral part of our lives, and with their new grandchildren, Jonathan and Gabby. After they left Arizona and came back to Chicago, we visited each other frequently, and we were not only present, but we made sure, they made sure, and he made sure that our entire Chicago-based family could travel and be present at Jonathan and Gabby's bar and bat mitzvah. Thank you for that, Dad and Mom. They also came out for all the birthdays, the kids' birthdays when they were little, their graduations, and the key celebrations. In later years, when Jonathan and Gabby came back here to Illinois to study, they were a very important part of their lives too, and very supportive. I am grateful to my father for always keeping these family bonds and connections tight. My dad lived a long whole life, 96 years of experiences and memories, of which only caught the last 62 or so. Even in the last 5-10 years, he would share stories of how he met Mom, what it was like to live in the olden days here in Chicago, how he grew up listening to music and the shows he went to and being inspired by the big band music and bebop, and he took me to see great concerts like Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, Woody Herman, Dave Brubeck, and many others. His taste in music influenced me a lot, and I'm a big fan of jazz and accordion music, and Dad and I and our whole family connected with him through music. There's such a great depth of experience, love, and emotions that I cannot express well enough. What I can say is that I'm so thankful to be the son of such a great man and feel privileged to have been part of such a great family. Dad, you will be missed dearly, and I will keep you alive in my thoughts, memories every day. When I hear certain songs, when I pass by certain places, when I hear certain jokes, when I see the pictures and places and faces from the past. I will always think of you when we gather with each other as a family, and I will always think of you when I hear Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Woody Herman and accordion music. I will remember you when I see places that I've been with you, whether it be the Eiffel Tower, Iguazu Falls, Lake Michigan, or Max and Benny's. I will think of you when the sun shines on my face in the afternoon, like you so enjoyed in the later years of your life. You will always be alive in my memory and in my heart. God bless you and keep you. Rest in peace with Mom and our other dearly departed ancestors, Bubby Evelyn, Grandpa Art, Bubby Dora, Zadie Paul, Bubby Kati, Uncle Irv, Cousin Mark. I know that you will be looking over us in the coming years, and I look forward to being with you one day again. I love you and will miss and forever hold you in my heart.
It's the blessing of a lifetime to have the opportunity to take this stage and pay tribute to my grandfather, and I'm very grateful to everyone who made this possible. When I entered my grandfather's life, he was just before his 66th birthday. And at that point, in any story, anything can happen next. And God knew how long I would be able to see him in my life and how long I'd get to know him. But to say that he's not only that he was in my life for 30 years, but the fact that what he was able to do and the profound impact that he had on me over the course of these 30 years is beyond words. And it starts at a very early age. When things were up and down for me in early years, my grandfather was one of the main constant lights that I had in my life. Someone who I was always able to look at as an example of character, as an example of dignity, as an example of someone who was calm under pressure, who was steadfast through adversity, and pretty much had the answer for everything, or the right answer for everything. I mean, it's hard to make an absolute statement for everything, but in the end of the day, I learned so much from his stories. I learned so much from his wisdom as I grew up. And then once I turned 18, went on 19, and came out here, came to this area for college, I used to see him every 2 weeks, and it got even better. Just the fact that not only did I get to learn from him, not only did I get to see more and more of what it's like to, grow up and be a man, but also the fact that, he was still doing well. He still stayed in great condition through his 80s and early 90s. All that was very inspiring to me. But then comes the fact that when I ran for Lake Forest College, he went to almost every race in this area. And not only did he go to every race to support, but he was that same exact thing he always was, in the best of ways, a steadfast presence, someone who, no matter what, whether I was feeling nervous right before, whether I was feeling high or low after, he was always someone I knew I could go to. And if there was any one day that truly showed what kind of character he was, it was on April 29th when it was 38 degrees. It was raining. It was 20-mile-per-hour wind. And I had a race 3 to 4 hours away in Whitewater, Wisconsin. I would have completely understood if he decided not to make this trip. But in the end of the day, not only did he make that trip, and again, I felt just a little bit concerned for him just because the conditions were just so bad so frigid for just that time of year. But just the fact that he was able to stand with an umbrella, nice and calm in the infield, and literally, as the meet dragged on, I kept getting behind schedule. I keep warming up in the infield, waiting for my chance. He was just the same calm man he always was, even through that. And that rubbed off on me. And it was very predictable that I would just go out that day and beat runners that were significantly faster than me in terms of best time, just because I was able to stay composed and stay patient. And that was something that, as he was watching me do it in the infield, watching me finish strong, was truly a reflection of him. And you look at a day like that and you think, you knew you had a real supporter when someone would make a 3-hour drive on a day like that. And among all the great memories he shared with me, that was one that truly stood out because, as many people understand, you truly know who your friends are, who your biggest supporters are in your roughest of days. And every time he said that he was my biggest fan, I truly believed that. And I always will. And obviously life changed a lot when I went to the Gulf Coast over these last 7.5 years. But even at that, even when I visited, even when I talked with him on the phone, to still see him carry on that same sense of character, that same sense of dignity, that same sense of integrity, and just continue to live a solid quality of life into age 90 and a few years beyond is something that I always want to aspire to. And I'm truly grateful for everything he gave me, but the biggest thing was that example he set for me. And when I look ahead, that is the example of character, of dignity and integrity that I vow to carry on into the last however many years of my life. But I truly hope that 60, 65, 70 years from now, if I'm blessed to live as long as he did, I hope I can go back to his grave and truly be able to look at myself and say that I was half of what he was. And I'm really, again, truly grateful to my grandfather and just want to vow to carry on his legacy.
Okay, I believe we're connecting with Paul, who will be speaking to us from New York City.
Well, first of all, when I spoke at Grandma Lee's funeral, we were 2 months after October 7th and still dealing with the horrors of that. And now I speak today, and I just got an alert on my phone saying that the last hostage, Ron Givlee, was found and is being returned. And that fits so nicely with the whole theme the cantor was just talking about and Russell's song about return. I think Grandpa Jerry would be very, very happy to hear that news. I realized the other day that he passed away at 96 and I'm 48, which means he was 48 when I was born. it was just a remarkable thing to think about. And I realized I had 48 years of memories to just flood me over the last few weeks. Basically, since he went to the hospital, I've been thinking about him nonstop. And I've been listening to Rachmaninoff and just like living back in that Evanston, Judson world as a kid. Too many memories, just way too many. And we can. Yes, go ahead. They're telling me to go. All right, take two. I'm going to start over. In the theme with the blessing of return that Uncle Russell was playing about and the cantor was singing about, when my grandmother passed away, we were still dealing with the horrors of October 7th. Now I'm hearing sound. I hope you can hear me. But now today I got a text just as I signed on that the last hostage was found and is being returned, which is, I know Grandpa Jerry would be absolutely thrilled about. I had the realization that my grandfather passed at 96 and I'm 48. So he was 48 when I was born. And that's remarkable to me. I can't imagine being a grandparent right now, but he was, and I have 48 years of memories to go through right now. But over the last few weeks, since he went to the hospital, I've just been listening to Rachmaninoff and living back in their world in Evanston, and flooded with memories. And so many of them Glenn already touched on, which is great. I mean, all the vacations, Arizona, Disney, the cruise, Mackinac Island, Las Vegas, all the Bears games, all the Bulls games, all the White Sox games. We even ended up at a couple of Cubs games he got tickets to, and he would wear his White Sox hat there and be harassed the entire game. And he didn't care. He didn't take the hat off. All the 4th of Julys at their house, all the Hanukkahs, all the New Year's Days, all the Pounce games, going to work with him, all the sleepovers I got to have, all the old movies he would show me, of course, Mel Brooks, Charlie Chaplin, Monty Python, and I didn't get any of the jokes, but that laugh that Uncle Glenn mentioned that everybody's hearing in their heads right now. I mean, I would just be hysterical laughing at jokes I didn't get at all because he was laughing so hard at whatever was going on. Oh my God, so many general memories. And if I got into the specifics of everything, I mean, we would be here all day. So I'm not going to do that, but I do have one very special memory that I want to share. A true bonding experience that I had with him. It was October 31st, 1994, Halloween in Chicago. And I did a little research before I told the story, and I looked it up, and October 31st, 1994 in Chicago was the rainiest Halloween in Chicago history. And we had Bears tickets to Monday Night Football against the Packers that night. He asked me if I still wanted to go, and we went, of course. We were bundled up. It was 40 degrees out. The rain was coming from every direction, wind everywhere. Nobody went to their seats. The concourse was just filled with Bears and Packers fans. No one wanted to go to their seats. And finally, it was kickoff time. And we went to our seats that were soaked. We sat down. We were soaked. Grandma Lee had the presence of mind to send us with a tarp. And we put the tarp over us like this, and we were huddled together. So he was right next to me, and we're still getting splashed with the rain. It's still miserable. And we decided after a couple of plays, we were just going to completely envelop ourselves in the tarp. So we had the tarp completely pulled over the two of us, and we're huddled up together, freezing, shivering, trying to stay dry. The rain is pelting us, and we would wait for some kind of signal that a play was about to happen. And when the play was about to happen, we would lift up the tarp just a little bit. Our heads were stuck together. We would stick our heads out like a Siamese turtle coming out of its shell, this two-headed turtle. And we would just peek out and we would watch the play. And 5 seconds later, bam, just put the tarp right back over our heads. And we did this for 3 hours straight. We never left the game. And I will never forget just being under this tarp with him, staring into those pug eyes of his, both of us looking at each other like, what are we doing? Why are we here? We're here because bear down, that's why. Anyway, Of course, on the way home, now, if you don't believe in this whole God and religion thing, you've obviously never been in a car with my Grandpa Jerry before while he's driving. But we're flying down the Edens and flying down the Kennedy in the left lane with sheets of rain just pouring down. And he's got that really nice Mercedes, that white two-door Mercedes that had that fancy wiper in the front, that one wiper. And the rain is just coming down in sheets. And once every like 15 seconds, the wiper would go and we couldn't see anything. And so I said to him, I've been driving for less than a year at that point. I turn to him and I say, Grandpa Jerry, do you maybe want to increase the frequency of the wiper? And he does that thing on the steering wheel he would always do with his fingers. He's like, no, I can see, I'm good. Anyway, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the Bears played the Packers and I called him and he had just gone to the hospital. And I called him and he didn't answer, and I tried again and I tried a third time, and I left him a voicemail with my son Ezra, and we said hi, and I said, Grandpa Jerry, I just want to make sure you're watching the Bears Packers game, or you have it on. I hope you're able to watch this. Do you by any chance remember October 31st, 1994? It's my fondest memory of you. We had the greatest time and you were such a champ to stick that out with me. I really hope you remember that. And it turned out my Auntie Terry was with him, and she played him the voicemail, and she texted me, of course he remembers that. And that was like my last interaction with my Grandpa Jerry, was that, reliving that moment in that regard. So Auntie Terry, I'm so glad you were there to share that. I'm going to tell one more story, and it's in the interest of how incredibly humorous my grandfather was, and also how much my Grandma Lee loves a good funeral roast. I'm just going to lay this one out here right now because it's too good not to share. Hold on. My grandfather was not a good driver. We all know this. Anyone who's ever been in a car with him knows it was a risk. It was a risk getting in a car with him. I happen to have what I believe to be the best Grandpa Jerry driving story, or the worst, depending on whether or not you were in the car with him when it happened. I would love to hear other people's Grandpa Jerry driving stories, as well as all of your other memories, but I'm going to share what I think is the absolute craziest Grandpa Jerry driving story. Now, it's important to know he wasn't truly a bad driver. It was just that the rules didn't apply to him. He never paid attention to what color the light was, or who was in the lane next to him, if he wanted to change lanes, or what the speed limit was. It was just, he was out there. He figured he was insuring everybody on the road. Why not just drive however he wants? So the date is Christmas Day, 2007. I'm visiting this young woman, Lisa, in New York, who would one day become my wife and the mother of my children. And I've never been to New York before. And I learn that my grandparents, Grandma Lee and Grandpa Jerry, are driving to New Jersey from Chicago to go see Uncle Russell perform Christmas Mass at a church in New Jersey. And I say to Lisa, I said, can we go to this? Is it close? I don't know the area. Do you want to go to this? She said, sure, why not? I'm like, you get to meet my grandparents. I mean, we weren't even officially dating or anything at the time. So we take the train from New York to New Jersey. And the plan was for Grandma Lee and Grandpa Jerry to pick us up at the train station. We are very close to the train station in New Jersey. And I turn to my wife and I say, listen, my grandparents, they are so wonderful. You're going to absolutely love them and adore them. And it turned out that she would eventually love and adore them as they did her. But I said, Lisa, I just need to warn you, my grandfather is not a good driver. And she looks at me and she says, what do you mean? What do you mean he's not a good driver? What are you talking about? And I said, listen, we all know it. We just get in the car with him. No one thinks about it. We never say anything to him. It just is what it is, and it's happening. She's like, okay. So they pick us up. We're in New Jersey. The church is about 20 minutes away. We have to get on the New Jersey Turnpike, which is basically just like the Edens or the Kennedy. We're driving. We don't have Waze. There's no GPS back then. It's printed out on MapQuest. And Grandpa Jerry realizes as he's getting off the exit of the New Jersey Turnpike that he's gotten off at the wrong exit and he's supposed to get off at the next exit. So I would say everybody, not even 99% of people, anybody in that situation would just continue up the exit and go over and get back on or take a side street, not Grandpa Jerry. And in an instant, halfway up the exit, upon realizing that he has gotten off at the wrong exit, he slams on the brakes. And we're stunned. We don't know what's going to happen. And to say that he started to go in reverse would be the incorrect terminology. He just started driving backwards, full speed on the exit ramp of the New Jersey Turnpike. And Lisa grabs my arm and she looks at me with sheer terror. And in that tiny little moment, I wanted to be humorous about it and be like, see, it's my Grandpa Jerry. This is how he drives. But I was scared to death. And we were looking at each other and she's grabbing me. We're in sheer terror. He reverse merges onto the New Jersey Turnpike. Full speed with cars coming at us. Full speed reverse merges on the New Jersey Turnpike. Floors it back in drive like nothing happened. And come to think of it, it's like maybe he had done this before. I don't know. But it was very smooth for him. We were absolutely terrified beyond belief. And a few minutes later, we get out of the car and we're like stumbling out of the car, so happy to be on ground. And we walk into this church and it's Christmas Day and Uncle Russell's playing and Jesus is up there and everything. And I like actually questioned myself, like, did we survive that? Like, are we in the afterlife right now? I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, that is my Grandpa Jerry driving story. I hope wherever you are, Grandpa Jerry, you got a good chuckle out of that. It's a memory that is cherished in our household. I will conclude by saying this. What I wouldn't give to be in the car with you again, listening to that jazz radio station on the end of the dial that I didn't know existed and hearing you tell all those stories about the jazz musicians. I love you. You were the most wonderful grandfather. Grandma Lee, you were the most wonderful grandmother. The two of you together, I will cherish all of my memories, and I have the rest of my life to think through all of them and share them with my cousins and all the aunts and uncles. I love you, and may you rest in peace.
On. Does it sound like my dad, right? Hello? Testing. It's the first thing my dad always did wherever we were. That sounds really loud. Does it have to be that loud? Okay. Thank you. Anyone who knows me or knows how deeply I valued the time I spent with my dad throughout my life, but especially these last few years. On my dad's 94th birthday in 2023, I asked my mom if she wanted to try to write a birthday card and a message to him. This is what she wrote. This is the beginning, not the end. Let's keep going forever. I love you. Thanks for being here forever. Stay here. I need you to stay well, my dear husband, Jerry. 95. Love, Shirlee. So in that note, my mom somehow projected that my dad would be, at least on that day, 95 or will make it to 95. And anyone who knew my parents knew that Dad hardly ever said no to my mom. He wanted to make her happy and do whatever she asked, and he never wanted to disappoint her. So, of course, he exceeded her prediction by a full year and made it to 96. That's my dad, always exceeding expectations. When my mom wrote, "This is just the beginning," she knew. And when the time came, he was ready for that new beginning with her in eternity with God. You've heard a lot today about our family stories about Grandpa, Dad, but I wanted to share something from a different perspective. There's a picture hanging on the wall at the landing on Dundee, written by the community staff, and it really speaks out to who my dad was, not just to our family, but to everybody who knew him. And this is what it said. Do you want to read it? Get to know Jerry, I think was the beginning of it. Jerry is known around our community for his love of simple pleasures, especially basking in the warmth of the sun. You'll often find him in his favorite sunny spot, soaking up the rays with a smile and enjoying the peaceful moments of the day. But don't be fooled by his laid-back vibe. When it comes to trivia and Jeopardy, Jerry is a fierce competitor, always quick with a clever answer and never one to back down from a challenge. He brings sharp wit and a playful energy to every game. His friendly rivalry with fellow residents, especially George, Jerry keeps everyone on their toes, and competition is lively. Jerry is also a familiar face at our special events, often surrounded by his loving family who join in on the fun. His presence brings warmth and a sense of joy that truly adds to the spirit of our community. So, that's it.
That was nice.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
And I believe Jerry's sister Joyce is going to share some thoughts as well.
Well, those are all wonderful stories that we all have heard. But I think I knew Jerry before any of you did. And I'd like to give some recollections of him. Jerry was a big influence in my life. I looked up to him in so many ways. We both grew up having music in our lives. And by the time he was 11, he was so good on the accordion, we became a brother and sister act, as Glenn mentioned before. And I was 4 years old at the time. And we did hundreds of performances for the servicemen and to sell bonds and stamps for the war effort. And he loved putting on recordings during those years of his favorite musicians, like Harry James, Woody Herman, Stan Kenton, and blasting them throughout the apartment. So I got to know them pretty well myself. When he started Marshall High School, he learned to play the trumpet. And before long, he put together an act where he played all of the contestants on a talent show. First, he played the accordion as one contestant. Then he would play the trumpet as a second contestant. And then he would sing with a wig on and a high voice, like as a woman contestant. And then by the end, he would do all of them together. He played the accordion with the left hand, the trumpet with the right hand, and he brought out a cymbal and played that with his foot. And of course, that contestant won the show. Let me see where I want to go with this now. I know there's not much time. During those years, during those years when vaudeville was still in vogue, there were a number of theaters in the Chicago area that had vaudeville shows, and Jerry appeared on many of those, and that was so much fun for me, too, because my parents and I would always go. We would drive, my dad would drive him, and he'd schlep the accordion during those early years, and we would always go to see Jerry on those shows. And then he would do shows out of town also that the family, the three of us, would all go see too, which was fun for me. He was even hired during the summers to perform in South Haven, Michigan, at various resorts. So our dad, Grandpa Art, would arrange to take his vacations, and Grandma Evelyn and I, of course, would go, and we would spend the time there seeing Jerry in the various resorts. And that was, we were his groupies. We were at all the performances. And then when he was 16, he became a band leader, and he and his fellow musicians played band jobs for all kinds of occasions. He worked his way through college, and it was mentioned before, became a CPA, met Shirlee, the girl of his dreams, went in the Army, married, worked, and then went back to school and got his other degrees. So that's sort of the history before you all knew him and before he had you kids. And I loved him very much. I always thought he was so smart, and I remembered before I was going to take my test for high school, in 8th grade when you do that, and I knew there was math on the test, and suddenly I forgot how to do division. And I called Jerry and asked him to explain it to me so I could know how to do it for the test. And he did. He was very patient with me, and I loved him, and I'm going to miss him.
We'll now invite Brad up to share some thoughts as well.
My Grandpa Jerry was quite a guy. I mean, I got to know him for 46 years and had lots of experiences with him. Some in the car where I was praying to make it home, but other times Sox games, movies, sleepovers. I mean, I'm pretty sure Paul said all of it for me, but, I remember he and Grandma Lee took a bunch of us to the last game at Comiskey Park in Chicago. It's called something else now. I don't even know anymore. And then to the first game in the new Comiskey Park. And of course, my memory could be skewed because I was in like 5th grade when this happened, but pretty sure that's how it went. And he was just always... Sorry, I don't have any organized thoughts on paper, so I'm going to try this here. He was just always loving, friendly. He was there for his wife, his children, his grandchildren, and definitely will be missed. And I don't have to get in a car with him, which is good because that scared me. Grandpa Jerry, I love you, and I will miss you. I love you so much.
Just heard from Doug at the cemetery. There's a slight change in the schedule, so we have just a couple more minutes than we'd previously thought. In that case, we're going to offer prayer for peace. This is a piece of music that I know Jerry loved, something we sing for the holidays. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, Russell's going to share some words as well.
I had offered not to speak because I knew we had a time that we had to be there by, but if that's changed, I've got a few things just to share. My dad, as you all have heard and know, you all know him, had such a quality of positivity. When you would see him and you come in, he would just welcome you with so much warmth, and like it was the happiest thing in the world that you had come, and it was always a very deep, loving experience. And this is a quality that he has, and it's a quality that lives on. The day before he passed was by his bedside, and there was the Rabbi Sandra from the landing where he developed a relationship with her. And she asked me, well, what do you think happens when he dies? And I said, well, my experience is that I am soul, that we are soul, and that we live beyond these bodies. And that it continues on, and it's like a wonderful graduation chance, an opportunity to take his next step towards God after this amazing life that he's lived. And all the things that he's learned. And then she said, yeah, that's right. And that's just like what the Kabbalah teaches. And I mentioned that because then after I left, I had an OT appointment. And I was on the table where they were working on me, and near the end, I had this experience where my dad just came out of my heart, out of my body, and then he just descended. He was right there. I saw him. And it was so beautiful just to see his presence. And when it ended, the song Amazing Grace played with a single flute, and which is beautiful and very meaningful. And I found out, from the practitioner that song has never come up on their playlist or whatever it was their thing was playing. They never heard it, and there it was. And so there's this message from spirit, from my dad, from life, from God, this communication that continues. And that same day, so I'm going back to go see him. And, we have this love for theater, both of us, and musical theater. And I had the radio on, and just happened to have these two songs that had these lyrics that were almost like, because my dad couldn't speak to us this week while he was in hospice, but it was almost like a way to speak. Some words, like from some songs I know very well, one from Secret Garden, and find some new way to love me. That is going to be in a new place, but there's a new way to love him. And sure as you breathe, I am there inside you. And then right after that, For Good came on. Many of you may know that from Wicked, but it was like the original singers, and he said, and some of the words in that are about people come into your lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow. And I just feel like it was like this communication, like we couldn't talk. He couldn't talk, but it's just like this life that we've had together, and how much he meant to me, and how much we helped each other learn and grow. And that I am who I am today. Because I knew you, is what it says. I have been changed for good. That's from the song. So through our lives, our times together, we had things to overcome, differences, but there was always this love that helped us overcome things, and we got to celebrate life together. My mom had passed away 2 years ago, and I told her that we would find a place where we would meet in the other worlds of God. And I hadn't found that yet. So I had a dream. My dad led me to where she was. He knew where she was. And other dreams I had them both together. And I know that's the blessing right now, that they are together. What I learned from my mom's passing is that when my heart is open to love and God, it opens me to the presence of my mom and my dad. And I experienced this the other day when I went to play at the church, and we had a choir that were the wonderful choir who loved him because he used to come to the concerts. And there's so much love. And I felt my dad's presence so strong It was definitely him. He's very, unique. We all know him, and it was just this joy and love, and like I'm right here, and we all has this celebration, and it leads me to want to cry when that happens. But one thing I've learned is that sometimes I feel like I might feel this sadness and be crying like right now, but that's because his presence is here, and I'm feeling the love. So that's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you still want to do that?
We'll move on if that's okay. So it's an honor to offer just a few thoughts, and then we're going to move into concluding prayers. I also had the great privilege and honor to get to know Jerry over the past years at concerts and services, and through, of course, Russell's musical offerings to our community, and through the many family connections to our synagogue community. And in my conversations with Jerry about life and music, Judaism and family, one thing became truly clear. Jerry brought positive energy and deep warmth into every room, every conversation. Even in the hardest moments, especially as Shirley's illness progressed, Jerry met life with kindness, steadiness, and love. He had a gift for seeing the good in situations and in people, and for drawing others closer with genuine care. Even in the final chapter of his life, he continued to make friends in his community, teaching us all that openness and love does not diminish with time. It deepens. Jewish tradition teaches us a word for this quality, hakarat hatov. These are Hebrew words which mean the ability to recognize the good. Jerry embodied this trait throughout his life, in his family, in his work, and in his relationships. He did not merely notice goodness, he cultivated it, he strengthened it, and he passed it on to others. In the days ahead, as we carry the weight of his loss, we honor Jerry best by walking in his footsteps, choosing to see the good in one another and in the world around us. I was moved to hear from Jerry's children yesterday. He had a personal motto. One of them was, never give up. It echoes the teaching of one of our famous rabbis in Jewish tradition. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov taught that despair is never the final word. And Jerry lived that wisdom with quiet strength and his steady optimism, believing in difficult moments, blessing was and always is still possible. In Jewish tradition, we say also these Hebrew words when someone we love passes away, zichrono livracha. And this translates to, may their memory be for a blessing. And yet it conveys so much more. Zichrono livracha means a person has lived a life well lived, that they leave the world behind with more love in it than they found it, and that they've mastered in some small measure the mystery of life, and they've passed that wisdom on to those that they love. All of us here today can truly say of Jerry, Zichrono livracha, that his memory will always be for a blessing. We know that Jerry made a beautiful life for his family. In the coming days and weeks ahead, may we continue to count and recount the ways in which Jerry's presence was a blessing to us and to the whole world. And so we reach a concluding section of our service. We'll hear the words of the El Malei Rachamim prayer, which we'll read together in English, and we'll hear chanted in Hebrew. In this prayer, we ask God to provide comfort and peace to the soul of Jerry Stern as the Spirit continues on to new realms, I ask if you're able to please rise as we open our booklets and read together the English of El Malei Rachamim. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Jerome H. Stern, who is gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may his repose be peace. Amen. El Malei Rachamim shochein b'meramim hamitzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina im geroshim uteorim kezor arakia masierim et nishmot Shlomo ben Asher verivcha shalach leolamo ba'al rachamim Yosdireu b'seira ganavane olamim Yitzror b'yitzror chaim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalato Vayanuach b'shalom amishkavo V'nomar Amen. And so I say thank you to the Stern family for the honor of helping with today's service. We're going to conclude with the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. And we find in this prayer something unexpected. The prayer we dedicate to the memory of those who have passed on does not mention death at all. Instead, the Kaddish is a prayer that praises God and gives thanks to our Creator for giving us the blessing of life. It teaches us that our hearts are filled with sadness in saying goodbye to Jerry, but we also search for gratitude that God has granted the spark of life to him and that through his life we are all connected in love. The words of the Mourner's Kaddish are on the back cover. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah B'alamad yivarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'alam ulamei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha berichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da amiran be'alma v'yimeru amen Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen Osei shalom b'imramav hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. May the one who creates harmony and peace in the heavens inspire us to bring peace to all of Israel, to all of the world, and to comfort all those who mourn Jerry's passing. And let us all say, Amen. This concludes our service, and let's listen closely for instruction so that we can make it to the cemetery efficiently. Please be seated.
As I begin the concluding announcements, I want to apologize to the deceased, his family, and all of you in attendance for the technical glitches as we tried to present the remote speaker. Our sincere apologies. Also, very briefly, Russell mentioned the sudden change adding a little bit more time to the service. I want to explain that. Shockingly, the Army does not work on the weekends for funerals, so they became aware of my request from Friday this morning. They're making an effort. There will be personnel at the cemetery, but during the service, I received a call that one of the members that's going to present is running late. So that made it, although it's critical to the cemetery, in any case, I called the cemetery. We'll arrive there at 10 o'clock or close, and we'll wait for the military personnel if they haven't arrived already. But just a brief explanation of what's occurred, because there's been a little bit of turmoil. This does conclude the service here in the cemetery. The interment will take place immediately at the family's plots at Shalom Memorial Park Cemetery. Following the interment today, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Landings, 156 West Dundee Road in Wheeling, today from 12 noon until 4:30 p.m. I'd also ask you to please take note on the inside of the funeral service folder. The family has asked that memorial contributions be made to the JUF. For those of you watching online, the Shiva information and the donation information is on the website you are currently on. For those of you going in procession with the family to the cemetery, the procession will form in our parking lot. Please make sure you have an orange funeral safety sticker that should be placed in the front passenger side of your windshield. We would also ask that you please have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on at all times. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on tops of the cars in the procession. As we drive in procession today, please drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you at all times. We want to make sure we avoid any large spaces or gaps in the procession, especially as we pass through the intersections. The following family members have been selected to act as pallbearers. As I call your name, if you'd please step forward. Jeff, Michael, Brad Wolf, Jonathan, Daniel, and Bruce Wolf. If I could ask everyone to please rise as the deceased and the cantor and family are escorted from the chapel, and I would ask the pallbearers to please step forward. I'll ask everyone to please go directly to your cars. The family will not be greeting at the funeral home any longer today. Thank you.